this is Laura and Arnie with Crazy Cool Cakes.
And we're so glad you could be with us today.
Thanks for joining us for the next video in our Cake Biz series. We hope everybody had a wonderful Memorial Day yesterday. So today is Tuesday, and what have we been up to? Well, I had the most delightful flu you could ever imagine.
It was delightful.
And my poor hubby
had to endure all the coffee.
Had to endure and barely got any sleep because I was just hacking up a lung all night.
But that's part of being married. So.
It's part of being married. But now you're sleeping fine, so I'm totally fine. So I'm doing awesome now, and now we're able to do our next video in our Cake Biz series. And like always, of course, we want to thank everybody for your wonderful comments, your awesome questions. And we want to start off by just reading a few comments that were posted. This first awesome comment is from Sugar Creations in the United Arab Emirates. That's awesome. So she says, I can't thank you enough. Your video series have given me the confidence to charge what I really deserve for my work. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I'm always inspired after watching your videos. Raising the prices definitely worked for me.
That's right.
So there it is. The proof is in the pudding. And you know, we get lots of comments of people saying it works.
Yeah, and if it works for them, and it works for us. If it works
for them, it works for us.
It works for
everybody. It'll work for you. So there is the proof. She goes on to say it was a little hard, but I kept reminding myself about how hard I work on my cakes and cookies and how I wasn't making any profit until I didn't feel any guilt. Looking forward for your next video. So thank you so much, Sugar Creations. That's wonderful to hear. And that's really all we need to do is just constantly remind ourselves that our work is worth it. Our time is worth it, and
worth it. Our
artwork is worth it. If you just constantly remind yourself, it's just gonna get more and more difficult for you to shortchange yourself, and that's what we're all trying
that's
to.
That's the mindset.
And that's the goal. Okay, this next awesome comment is from Yang Wan Yin.
Hi, Yang. Hey, my kinfolk.
Your kinfolk. Okay, so she says, Laura and Arnie, you are amazing. Thank you so much, Yang. You're amazing. Your videos are so refreshing and informative. Definitely a must-see for every amateur or experience. Sending you love from Abu Dhabi. That's cool.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, man. You guys are everywhere. That is so awesome. United Arab Emirates,
That's
Abu Dhabi. This next awesome comment is from Judy Bigney.
Hi, Judy.
And we've answered Judy's comments, I think, before, but she always asks really good questions, man. Okay, so of course she starts off by saying, hi, Laura and Arnie. Thank you so much for these videos. You're very welcome, Judy. I took my first order last week using your pricing techniques, and the buyer didn't bulk at all at the price.
There you go.
There you go. And then she says, yeehaw.
I thought she was from Texas.
So there it is. It works. It works. And for any of you that are wondering, you know, does it actually work? Just try it. Try the cake pricing techniques. Order your cake artist guide for those of you that have not purchased your cake artist guide. If you need to still figure out what your time is worth, if you still want to find out what it is you've been paying yourself all along, go ahead and order your cake artist guide. And so these techniques work. Everything that we've been covering in these videos, guys, are to help you, to encourage you, to give you the confidence so that you can start having the business that you've always wanted, so you can start making the money that you deserve. So thank you, Judy, for that affirmation. Towards the end of her comment, she says, and this is actually what this video is about. She says, can you do a video on how to do the consulting part of the business? Okay, so here is her question. She says, do you do it on the phone, in person, or messaging? And then she says, I have a Facebook page for my business and get inquiries that way most of the time. Thank you. You're very welcome, Judy. So yes, we do a lot of consulting with clients over the telephone as well as via email. And just like you, Judy, and like many of you, we also do get lots of orders on Facebook. So we do also receive and do a lot of consulting over messaging via Facebook.
Okay, what about cell phone text though?
Oh, good question, maybe. Now, messaging.
Because we do get them.
We do get them, right? And it's funny because this is something that the girls and I in the webinar this last Sunday talked about a lot. Perfectly fine to do consulting, Facebook messaging, email, and of course definitely over the telephone, which in my opinion is the best way because you get it done very quickly and you get a feel for where the client is at. And there's a lot of things that you pick up in a human-to-human conversation that you do not get in an email, right? So something that we do want to touch on is when it comes to texting and your cake business. So if you all would like our professional opinion, those of you that do want to run a professional cake business successfully, yes, I really do believe that it's not good business to do any type of consulting or pricing or offering quotes or anything like that via text message.
I don't think it's professional.
It's really not professional. Yeah. It's really not. Remember, guys, that we're trying to get away from the whole cake lady mentality. And what we want to do is to stop people from seeing us as just the cake lady, right? You want to be known as a professional cake artist. When a person text messages you, it's very impersonal. It is unprofessional, and by answering the client and answering all of their questions and allowing them to be texting you back and forth 30, 40 times because you guys...
They've gained control.
Yeah, exactly. And those of you that have done it, and you know, we're preaching to ourselves too because we used to do it all the time. And it finally got to a point a few years ago where we said, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean,
too much time.
30, 40 text messages back and forth, and in the end, they didn't even end up ordering. Right? So what you guys want to do is you want to get to the point to where you are no longer taking text messages from people. Now that doesn't mean that they're not going to text you. You're still going to get people text messaging you. But what we do nowadays is if when someone texts, is this crazy cool cakes? Or they'll just right off the bat send us a picture how much for this cake, you know, without us knowing anything at all about how many servings
or who they are,
the date of the event, anything like that. What we do now is I just simply text them back and I say, please feel free to call. And it's very surprising, you know, because a lot of times when I do that, they never even call.
No, they don't.
They don't, and it goes back to what I just said. People nowadays are so used to not having to communicate.
Can I say they're afraid?
They're afraid to communicate with another human being. So a lot of people, I think, kind of hide behind the texting. They kind of hide behind their cell phones because they're afraid to actually speak to another human being. And so that tells me right off the bat, if the person doesn't even have the courage to have a full-blown conversation with me, do I really want that type of person as a client?
Right.
No, I want somebody that I can speak to, someone that I can relate to, you know, and we form good friendships with our clients. I mean, of course, we never get all buddy, you know, but we're still it's
professional.
A professional relationship, you know, mutual respect and friendly as it should be in business.
That's perfect business.
Exactly. But part of the reason also why we don't like to deal with clients via text messaging is because there's a lot of things that you cannot pick up on text messages.
True.
When you're speaking to a human being, you can hear the way they speak, their tone of voice. You can tell whether they're serious about ordering from you or not.
You can hear hesitation.
You can hear hesitation. You can hear bull feathers. You can hear everything. Okay, so like I said, this is something that I talked to my cake artists on Sunday. We had an awesome webinar.
Yes.
And so for those of you that are interested in registering in June's webinar, be sure to check out the link underneath the video. If you need one-on-one help, it's here for you, okay? But what we were discussing a lot is this whole thing about text messaging. And so you waste a lot of time, guys, and you will testify, those of you that do it. You waste a lot of time text messaging back and forth.
I can hear a lot of people saying, they're right.
Yeah, we're right because we've been there. You know, we've been through it. And remember, guys, the whole purpose of these videos, of course, is to teach you how to value your work, but also how to value your time. Remember, in this business, time is money. And if you find that you are wasting lots of time communicating back and forth with clients then it's really not paying off. Remember, you guys hopefully by now have figured out what 1 hour of your time is worth. If you add up all of those text messages and all of those emails and all of those Facebook messages that really turned into nothing, how much time out of your life did you literally throw away?
You can't get it back. Yeah.
Exactly. We need to get really, really good at nipping things in the bud. I like to say that a lot. Nipping things in the bud so that you can not waste your time. And the best way is to speak to people over the telephone, because you can tell in the first few seconds of speaking to a potential client over the telephone whether or not there's a possibility they're going to order. Right. You can't get that through a text message.
You filter through the riffraff.
Exactly. Yeah. You weed out the riffraff. Exactly. And you don't waste your time. And then you also don't get that very much in emails, but again, perfectly fine. Like I said a little while ago, we do lots and lots of consulting, lots of business via Facebook messaging and on emails also. But really, you're really not going to get that far with a client on a text message. So that's just our advice to you. If you want to start, turning your business into a more professional business, then definitely you want to eliminate text messaging between you and clients. Now, if it's a client that you've already had for many, many years, like us, right? We have some clients that keep ordering from us several times a year, and there's really, the trust is already completely there. We already know that
it started with phone calls.
It started with a phone call, right? And so we already know that there's not going to be any problem whatsoever with them paying the price that we give them. And so sometimes we get really big, nice orders in 1 or 2 text messages. But again, this is a client that is already established with us, and the whole conversation on the telephone and all of that is completely unnecessary at this point. But if a person is contacting you for the very first time, definitely you do not want to do it via text message. Feel free to call. Obviously, they know the phone number because they're texting you. And if they don't call you, that you should already say to yourself, I don't want that person as my client. If they don't even have the want to want to have a conversation with me. Okay, so hopefully that helps some of you. Now, very quickly, let's talk about emails. We get a lot of cake orders via email and via Facebook messaging. But again, guys, you need to be able to get to the point to where you're not wasting a lot of time emailing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I have a cake artist that was in one of my webinars, I think last year, and she emailed me not too long ago and told me that she is at the point where she's just going crazy because she is wasting so much time emailing clients back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I asked her, well, what is it that you're emailing so much about? And so what it was is that she would have potential clients emailing her for quotes, asking her, how much she would charge to do this type of design. And then she says, and then they don't answer me. So then she was actually emailing them back to ask them, so are you going to order? Is there anything else you need? Is there anything else I can help you with? And so I just basically told her not to do that.
We don't go chasing it.
No, you as a professional cake artist, you do not chase after customers. If they don't email you back, that's it. That's it. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun.
There is no order. If they don't email you back, then that just means that it was not within their budget, that they thought it was too much. Now, the great thing about telephone conversations is when you give somebody the quote over the telephone, you can tell by their response or lack of response whether or not they're okay with the price.
Or you get the ba-dee.
Yeah, or the heart attack, the seizure, and all of that. But what I'm saying is, if you can tell right then and there on the telephone that it's not within their budget, then at least you have the opportunity at that point to still somehow try and get an order. You can talk them down on the number of servings. You can minimize the decoration. You can figure out, help ask them, what is your budget? Let me see what I can do to help meet your budget, that type of thing. Via email, you can't do that. We get lots of people that email us for quotes, and I provide them a quote, and then I never hear from them ever again. But I do not waste not 1 second emailing them and asking them, did you get my email? Did you receive my quote? Was that within your budget? Were you still gonna place the order? No. If they don't answer you, they don't answer you. Now, it's nice. It's really nice when a person does email back, and they at least thank you for your time for having given them a quote, and then they say, unfortunately at this time, you know, it's not within our budget, but now we know what your prices are, and we'll just plan better for next year. We really, really appreciate that, and we actually do get a lot of those people that order the following year. And they say, you know, we contacted you last year, we had no idea that custom cakes cost this much, but now we're ready. But now we're ready to order something nice from you. But again, guys, with emails, you want to get to the point where very, very quickly you provide quotes, you answer questions, and you should be able to get an order from a person that is serious, okay, somebody that can afford your work. You should be able to finally get an order from a customer after maybe 2 emails. That's it. If you see you're scrolling through your screen and you see you're on the 17th email and this person is still, well, what about if we do this?
What about if the sentence starts with what about?
What about? No, guys. Time is money. You need to start learning to value your time and not waste your time. Hopefully that helps a lot of you too. And again, how do we know? Because we have wasted so much time in the previous years with texting, emails. I mean, it's ridiculous. But thank God for making mistakes, because that's how we learn.
We learn from the pitfalls.
You learn from the pitfalls, and now we know. I mean, God Almighty, we know how not to waste time. Right? So hopefully that helps, Judy. And if you guys have any other questions about how to deal with clients via email, you know, Facebook messaging, all of that, go ahead and leave your questions in the comments. This next wonderful question is from Aisha Wilson.
Hi, Aisha.
And she says, thank you for this series. You're very welcome. It's been a blessing for sure. My question is, when someone contacts you for a quote on a cake, when do you give them the final price? And then she says, I am assuming you give them an estimate when they first contact you because you don't know the final design, correct? So when do you give them the final price? That's a great question, Aisha. Okay, so to answer your question, she says, when do you give them the final price? And then she says, I'm assuming that you just give them an estimate in the beginning because you don't know the final design. Well, sometimes that's true, sometimes that's not true. The majority of the time, I can arrive to the final design in the first 2-3 minutes. Most of the time when a client calls, they pretty much know what they want.
That's true too.
They've either seen a photo of a cake that they liked, or they designed something themselves, which is rare. But most of the time they saw a picture of a cake that they liked. And so before I even, you know, give them an estimate, what I ask them is to send me the picture. Right. Send me the photo, because I need to see a picture before I can give you an exact quote. If a person calls and I get the impression that they're not 100% certain of what it is that they want, then what I do to make sure that I don't waste my time is I'll give them an estimate, like Aisha just said.
Right.
And remember, guys, that's why it is so important for you to know your base price. Remember, as we discussed in the previous videos, we figured out what a base price was. And if you haven't seen that video, I recommend that you go back to that video and check it out. It's very important for you to be able to tell a client what your minimum is, depending on the number of servings that they want, okay? So let's just say, for example, I think in the previous video we had said that we were just, you know, pretending that our base price was $7 per serving.
Right.
So if a customer calls us, and let's just say they're ordering a birthday cake, and also this is very helpful because it helps to nicely burst their bubble. And as you guys know, a lot of clients, especially when they have never ordered a custom cake before in their entire life, they have no idea.
No idea whatsoever.
Idea as to what these cakes cost. And again, it's not their fault. They just don't know. They just don't know.
And that's what we're here for.
Let's just say somebody wants to order a Sesame Street cake, and I, of course, let them know, okay, in order to be able to provide you with an exact quote, I need to know the minimum number of servings that the cake must provide, and also I need to get an idea of how you want the cake decorated. Let's just say the person says, well, we need 35 servings. So then I know that one of our 2-tiered cakes, an 8-inch and a 6-inch, would provide them the number of servings that they need.
Exactly.
But now, let's say that they start going on this rampage, and then they say, Well, we want the entire Sesame Street neighborhood, you know, wrapping around the bottom tier. We want Big Bird, we want Elmo, we want Oscar the Grouch, we want, you know, whatever all the other characters are. Yeah, the Count. You know, they start naming all of these characters. Snuffleupagus, which, you know,
we can do.
Yeah, we can definitely do it. But again, this is something that they do not realize how much handmade decorations cost or how much they add to the cost of the cake.
Right.
So if I already know that they're looking for 35 servings, I want to first see if they can even handle our minimum, which is going to be what we would charge minimum for just a buttercream cake,
a plain cake,
or a fondant covered cake. So the way that I do that is I first let them know, okay, just to give you an idea of our prices or to make you a little familiar with our prices. If you need a 2-tiered cake that's going to serve 35, for just the cake alone, you're looking at a starting price of $245. That would be 35 times $7 per serving, which is what we said in the previous example in the previous video, is what we would charge for just a plain buttercream cake or a fondant covered cake. That's something with zero decoration. If this gentleman completely pauses or there is nothing but crickets on the other end of the line,
kind of like that.
Kind of like that, okay? Then if he says, well, that was a lot more than what we were planning to spend, then it's completely unnecessary to even continue the conversation about a Sesame Street themed cake. If I already know that he cannot handle even a plain buttercream cake, and he wants all of these characters and buildings and, you know, Sesame Street sign and all of this stuff, then you already know in the first minute of the conversation that's not your client.
Nip it in the bud.
Right, you nip it in the bud, and you didn't waste any of your time other than a minute. And really, it's not a waste of time because, you know, they'll say something like, well, that's more than what we were budgeting, but thank you anyways. Yeah, and so I'll tell them when we're getting off the phone, well, thank you so much for calling, and please keep us in mind in the future. People's situations change, guys. Just because somebody doesn't order from you this year, you know, people get raises all the time. They get better jobs.
They save money.
They get promotions, and nothing says that they won't call you back and order from you sometime. So really, that 1 minute on the telephone with him might not have been a complete waste of time. And at least he knows who we are. He knows about us.
And you just keep the professionalism.
You keep the professionalism, and very good chance that he might refer somebody that can afford our work to us.
Absolutely.
Right. But again, guys, all comes down to learning how not to waste your time. So Aisha, if the person does know what they want, they've already sent me the picture, I can very quickly come up with a quote, you know, with my calculator and in my mind, you know, figuring out what I would charge for the decorations, number of servings and all that. Yeah. And I can, boom, just like that. And I can give them a quote over the telephone. So I will give them the final price right then and there. And I told Aisha, I did answer her, and I told her the only time that I won't give them the actual price right away is if I had to wait for some reason for them to send me a picture of the cake. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question, Aisha, and anybody else that might have the same question. You want to give a person a quote as quickly as possible. Now, do not feel pressured to have to give somebody a quote immediately. If you're still at the point in your career, and especially those of you that are learning how to charge by watching these Cake Biz videos, take the time that you need, because when you do things in a hurry, that's when we're going to make a mistake.
Right, you have to be comfortable.
You have to be comfortable, and the only reason why I can quote so quickly is because I've been doing it for so long. And trust me, guys,
but don't get discouraged if you haven't been doing it.
Right. And trust me, guys, you will get to the point to where you'll be doing it, you know, with no problem, super quick, without even thinking about it. You will get to that point. I mean, if I did, I promise you, you will. Okay, it just takes practice, that's all. But do not feel pressured to give somebody a quote. If somebody emails you and then they send you a picture, there's absolutely nothing wrong with emailing that person back and telling them, thank you for sending me the photo. If it's okay with you, I'm going to take a little bit of time to think about what I would charge, and then I will email you back immediately as soon as I have your quote.
Or you could say, I'm going to take a closer look at the details.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Thank you. Watch out there now.
And then on the telephone too, do not feel pressured. At no point, guys, you know, don't start to stutter. Don't get fluttered.
Don't stutter, utter, or mutter.
Or flustered. What's the word? Fluttered or flustered? Don't get flustered. You know, keep your composure. Remain professional. They send you the photo. You just call them back and you let them know, thank you for sending the photo. I'm going to take a few minutes to look at it, make some calculations, and as soon as I have your quote, I'll call you right back. And then they appreciate the professionalism. Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah. So you give them the quote as soon as possible. You give them the quote right away. This is something that you definitely don't want to wait a half a day to do or a couple of days to do. I have had people that email me because they want me to help them come up with a quote, and then the email says, a lady contacted me 2 days ago for a quote. And so she's, you know, thinking about it. No, you got to give somebody a quote right away. Time is money. If you hesitate a half a day or another day, then guess what? They already got somebody else to do the cake. So hopefully that helps, Aisha, and thank you so much for your question.
Thank you.
This next wonderful question is from Joy Ekpen.
Hi, Joy.
Thank you for the wonderful question, Joy. So she says, hello again. Do you send itemized invoices? That's a really good question.
That's a good question. Okay.
Meaning, do you break down each component of the cake and their prices on the invoice? Thank you in advance. So to answer your question, Joy, we do not send an itemized invoice when we receive payments from our clients. However, our invoices are extremely detailed, and that is just to give the client the assurance that we 100% know exactly what it is that they're wanting to order. So remember, guys, when you're talking to a client on the telephone or communicating with them via email, that's where you deal with the specifics. You want to make sure that you cover everything from the colors to the wording to the decorations to what's gonna go where on what tier, right, all of that.
Lets them know you were listening.
Exactly. So once you're done talking to the client about the cake, they should feel 100% confident that their cake artist is going to deliver exactly what they discussed. Now, when I create the invoice, everything that we discussed, I mean everything, is in the invoice. Now, I don't itemize, you know, this many flowers, this many 3D cake toppers, this many, no. All of that is totally unnecessary. All that I do is just describe what the cake is going to look like. And all you want to put is the final price. And that's all the client needs to know is the final price. They do not need to know how much you charge for the cake alone, how much you charge for each little decoration, for the board, all of that. Completely unnecessary. And remember, as we said in a previous video, the client doesn't even need to know what you charge per serving. That's none of their business.
All they're concerned with is the bottom line.
Exactly. When we went over our T-chart, if you guys will recall in the video where we talked about price per serving according to intricacy, according to design, that price chart is just for you, not for the client. That is just to make it easier for you to be able to provide a quote, make it easy for you to know what you're going to charge per serving depending on the design of the cake. So hopefully that answers your question. Joy, thank you for the question. Thank you everybody for your questions. And if you all have any questions whatsoever about deposits, balances, cancellations, invoicing, you know, how to receive payments, when to receive payments, those types of things, now would be the time to ask your questions. Go ahead and post them down below, because that's what our next Cake Biz video is going to be about. And I know lots of you have lots of questions on the topic, so hopefully we'll be able to help you all and shed a little bit more light on those things that have to do with the business of cakes. So just a quick reminder, those of you that have yet to purchase your Cake Artist Guide, you can see it here in the corner. You can go ahead and purchase your guide. Remember, the purpose of this guide is to help you see what it is you've been paying yourself all along. And this is very, very helpful for those of you that still need to figure out what 1 hour of your time is worth. And like we said in all the videos, if you don't know what 1 hour of your time is worth, you'll never be able to know how to charge for your cakes, for your cake toppers, or for anything really that you do. Wheels. Exactly. So go ahead and purchase your Cake Artist Guide. Also, we are now registering for next month's cake pricing webinar. That's going to be going on Sunday, June 25th. If you have any questions or would like to go ahead and register, you can go ahead and check out the link underneath the video where it says Cake Pricing Webinar. And this is one-on-one help with cake artists to help you learn how to charge for your cakes. And this is really awesome because I look at your actual cakes and I help you figure out what you need to be charging for your work. And then of course we talk about so many other things.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you live either.
It doesn't matter where you live. For those of you that are in other countries, the cake pricing techniques work perfectly no matter where you are. And also we talk about a lot of things to help promote your business and to help grow your business, and how to make the most money you possibly can with the talent that you've been given. All right, guys, so thank you so much. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being so good to us with all of your wonderful, wonderful comments. We love reading them, and we look forward to seeing you guys in next week's Cake Biz video. God bless you all. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.